only that, but, you know, your learning curve, brother, has got to be pretty quick. But so I did what I did, and Maria did what she did, and we took this little bit of a time out to kind of reevaluate, man. But there was never, ever, ever any thought that I would leave this woman because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this is it for me. I don't know about anybody else. Some guys are 50, 60, 40, 30, whatever. They want to live the life of a bachelor. Cool, I did that.
Oh, well, get a load of Hugh Hefner.
That's right, bud. You can laugh if you want, but I got around in my day.
Oh, really? Got any pictures?
Of what? You know, bud, this is something you wouldn't understand. When's the last time you were with a woman?
Last Tuesday.
Who was it?
Your mom.
My mom. You know, bud, I'll just go on past that comment. It's childish of you. 1-800-449... My mom. 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendrie Show.
Phil Hendrie. 1-800-449-8686.
Bud, have you got the copy?
Jess at PhilHenryShow.com. A little bit of email that we had this evening. And here's one from a lady named Karen Spaminato. She says, my husband says that the call-in people who sound outraged at your bits are real callers. I say it's all scripted. Please set one of us straight. Thank you for writing. Moving on. No. Your husband's right, baby. I don't know what to tell you. Don't mean to call you baby. There are a lot of women that hate this show. I mean, and a lot of women that like the show, but there's the wives are the ones that, you know, I get more email from guys, my wife won't let me listen to your show, this, and that. I know. The problem is we're a humor-impaired country these days. You wouldn't know it with all the comedy shows, but if you look at the comedy that is out there right now, it's all pasteurized. It's been boiled down. What passes for satire, as I mentioned last night, is a show like Jon Stewart. It's a funny show. It's not satire. Satire is too dangerous. Satire is not allowed in America. Not without the risk of losing your job. Not without the risk of losing your job. So comedy, while you may think it's in a heyday of sorts, satire is not, nor has it ever been. I mean, look at the great satirists. Lenny Bruce. Guess where he wound up? Dead on a bathroom floor with a needle hanging out of his arm.
Wasn't that his fault?
I guess that part was, yeah, but by then they'd taken his cabaret license. The guy couldn't work because the cat was saying stuff that nobody wanted, right? The reason why I bring this up is Chris and I were talking. We said, you know, I mean, kids now have cartoons. Where are the funny cartoons? I mean, I'm just curious. Where are the funny cartoons? Funny ones, all right? I realize there's really cool cartoons. Japanese anime, yeah, I get it already, okay? Far out. But where's, like, the laughs, man? Where are the cartoons that are just goofy-ass stuff? And I'm not talking about that lame attempt at recreating Looney Tunes that Spielberg did. Remember that Tiny Toons turd? Every time I'd see that on TV, I just would want to take a razor blade to my neck because it would remind me of really good cartoons. In other words, he's trying to make it look like a time when stuff was really funny, and it ain't. And all you want to do is get an old rusty railroad spike and just sign the letter, leave a note on the kitchen table, go outside and drive it into your throat. So there's no real funny cartoons. What made those Warner Brothers cartoons great is because they did satirize contemporary society. They had Hitler characters in there. They had Tojo characters. Can you imagine, dude? Any cartoonist doing that now, man? It's not, you know, we are not allowed to laugh in this country. We are not allowed to laugh. Even something like, for instance, Air America, which their slug line ought to be, hear Al Franken as you've never heard him before. Not funny. Even those guys who have the audacity to call themselves progressive, you get fired if you get on that network and say anything that hasn't been approved by Der Fuhrer, Der Franken. Heil Franken. Right? I mean, it's total fascism. It's total media fascism, right? So, why am I talking about this, Bud?
I don't know. I don't care.
Chris, why am I talking about this?
You were reading an email.
Why didn't you know that, Bud?
I can't remember.
Well, I forget. So let's just move on.
Oh, that's great.
About not being allowed to laugh anymore.
Well, I don't know. I forget the email I was reading, but it had to do with
the couple that was disagreeing.
Oh, the woman and her husband. Yeah. Oh, I was talking about women. Yeah, okay. The women don't dig the show, and I'm not saying that they, women laugh at relationship stuff. They don't laugh at, they're not into Three Stooges, I suppose. I don't know what it is. I do know that we have some female fans, and I've always chalked it up to this one thing.
I don't know whether you're a big music fan or not. Well, I shouldn't say that kind of music. We got Jeff Downer on the line from his home in Temple City. That's an old '70s song. I guess that's not anything that you like.
Well, I'm familiar with the tune, Phil. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, and one of the sort of, I guess they have those contests. Like the worst song you ever heard. To me, that's be right.
That thing would qualify.
That'd be right up there. Vicki Lawrence. You got to remember, she's on a Carol Burnett show, and then she had a hit record. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Because the thing about The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia is that also is on a Reservoir Dogs soundtrack. And
that's right. Stephen Wright plays the disc jockey in that movie.
Yeah, that's on. And a lot of things from the '70s are on there too.
All right. Well, Jeff, you have the band The Dark Horse, which appears around Southern California, and your group has just finished the finishing touches on your first CD, which I think is available when?
CD's going to be out this fall, Phil. We're very, very excited about it. We think it's going to take music to a level that, I think people are going to enjoy it very much.
What's it called?
The CD's called Judgment Sunrise. There's going to be a few people involved. Todd Darnell has come on board for some session drumming. Few really good people are going to be there, so we're very, very excited about it.
All right, so Stuart got in touch with you and some of the guys in the band, and excuse me, I'm getting over a cold here. You guys are going to be having a drum clinic.
Well, basically, the drum clinic is going to be myself. I'll be over near my friend's place booth. We are going to be near the broadcast stage, and we're going to be there basically for the kids, Phil, and for anybody who's interested in expanding themselves musically, young people especially. I think the drums are a tremendous instrument to learn. I think one of the things about drums that's interesting is that we had a period in music here in the United States back in the 80s when most of the popular music that was being played on the radio and being bought was by British bands, and the British bands, whether it be Pet Shop Boys, would be OMD, whether it's Depeche Mode, these are bands that brought a sort of synth pop sound to drums. And
you're talking about like drum machines?
Yeah, absolutely, drum machines. And the live drummer and that real energy and that real strong sense you get from a live drummer went missing for so many years. Then came American music back in about 1990. Bands like Pearl Jam, bands like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, a lot of groups that I respect. Guns N' Roses. These are bands that brought the drums back. But I mean, you look at a band like Flock of Seagulls, killed drumming, just murdered it. And it's
Flock of Seagulls was the group that had.
They did the song Iran, which is a very cool riff. It's a very cool riff. I'm not putting the riff down, but
they did not have a live drummer.
No, they had that whole synth pop thing. Dude in Flock of Seagulls, that and that was all very synth. Howard Jones was by himself on a synth, killed drums, just butchered it up, and left it bleeding for the 90s, man, which is a tune that we have on the Judgment Sunrise, and it's about the death of music, in my opinion, in the 80s, because it's called Bleeding for the 90s, where the British bands butchered music up and left it on the doorstep of American bands to bring it in and resuscitate it and bring it back into the 90s. So,
all right, so all of that is to say...
All of that's to say that we are definitely celebrate the drums. We're going to have a drum clinic at Stimulant. We asked the parents to bring the kids by. Anybody that's interested in drums, we're breaking it down into 3 basic segments: country music, rock music, and jazz. And those 3 things are the 3 basic elements of drumming.
All right, so those are country music. Let's see, country music, jazz, and rock. In that order?
No, in the order of country, rock, jazz, because you're talking about very basic drumming, which is country drumming. And I got my drum pad here, Phil.
I was going to ask you, do you have any drum kit or maybe a drum pad there?
I do have my drum pad here right now. I can tell you that I'm going to put the phone down here.
All right. Jeff Dowder is with us tonight from Temple City.
And put the phone down.
Okay, so I'm going to tell people that Jeff is on the line with us. He's going to be at Stimulant having a drum clinic. You're talking about country drumming or country music, the most basic beat. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct, Bill. When you have a country song, like name a country song, okay? I'm not too familiar with country.
How about that song Elvira?
All right, Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys. Goes, Elvira, Elvira, my heart. You know what I'm saying? So
that is a very, very basic beat there.
That is the basic beat of country. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, Elvira, Elvira, my heart. Okay, so that's a big. It don't take nothing, and this doesn't take nothing away from country musicians, Phil.
I was going to say there's some tremendous session players in Nashville who do country music.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't take nothing away, but it is a very basic style. You basic 4/4. You know, it's 1, 2, 3, Elvira, Elvira. See what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you get into rock and roll.
All right, now hold the line, Jeff. We are doing a lot of things at Stimulant. We have Teachland, Tickleland, and Tortureland. And Teachland, one of the things we'll have is a drum clinic, and that will be held by Jeff Dowder, who's a drummer with the band The Dark Horse, teaching young people how to play drums. Not really teaching people how to play drums necessarily, Jeff, but what? Exposing them to the fun of drumming.
Phil, I think that's a pretty accurate way of putting it. I think we really want people to, get into drumming and to enjoy it. I've been a professional musician. To give you some of my credentials, I've been a professional musician for 10 years. I started in bands. It's not The Dark Horse, by the way. It's just Dark Horse. And
I'm sorry, I got the press release was wrong.
That's okay. But I also want to tell people that I write lyrics as well. I can give tips on that. Lyric writing is very important in terms of music. So you really, you're talking not only about a music, but about a lyrics too.
All right. Well, what lyrically would you? So what is the most important thing when you're writing lyrics?
When you're writing lyrics for a song, you want the lyrics to impart what it is you're trying to say. And I remember when I wrote Judgment at Sunrise, I really wanted people to feel what was going down at the beach and how I felt in the morning after a long night of, if I was using drugs at that time of life, I felt like that was the way it was.
Judgment at Sunrise is a song you wrote, right?
I did write Judgment at Sunrise. I'll give you a little taste of it too, so it is on a rock modality. 1, 2, 3, Judgment at Sunrise, I'm there. Judgment at Sunrise, don't be scared. Judgment at Sunrise, better beware. And everybody's gonna be at the beach for Judgment at Sunrise. Kind of like that. So what you're doing is...
All right, but the lyrics of Judgment at Sunrise, I'm there. Judgment at Sunrise, don't be scared.
Judgment at Sunrise, beware, and everybody's gonna be down at the beach for Judgment at Sunrise. And
all right, when you're writing lyrics, okay, I hear a lot of people taking poetic license where certain words don't rhyme.
Yeah, a lot of times we're not going to rhyme, but that's okay. You want to get when I wrote It's Bitchin', which is one of the first tunes that I ever wrote. It's Bitchin' is really not lyrically strong in a conventional sense, in a classic sense, like for instance some of the lyrics of Bono and U2. He's very strong lyricist, but it did impart an excitement that I had. If I could do it for you.
Now, is this on the album?
It's Bitchin's on the album. Yeah, he goes, 1, 2, 3. It's Bitchin'. Everything's getting bitchin'. Okay? So
So the lyrics are basically, it's bitchin', everything's getting bitchin'.
everything's getting more bitching in. And that is what it was about. And I've talked to so many struggling musicians who say to me, you know, Jeff, how did you keep a band together? How do you do it? I tell them, you just have to be persistent, and you have to know, excuse me, in your heart, you know, that this is right. And that it's the right thing to do for you. Okay?
Well, would you say that you started writing lyrics, or you started first as a musician?
I started first as a musician.
All right, so we were talking about...
And then I started writing lyrics. I mean, it's bitching just came to me one night. I knew I had to put that down on paper. I knew I had to go to the session. I called up Curly Bogart, who is our producer, and I said, we got to go into the studio. And he said, what's going on? That's the first thing Curly would always say to me. He said, what happened? And I said, I've got a song. We got to get this. I knew I had to hit with this bitching. And
so you went in. But a lot of these young musicians don't have access to a studio. They can't just jump up, write a song, and run into a studio.
Wherever you can, write the lyrics down so you don't forget them. And I remember I wrote the lyrics to Bitchin' down so I wouldn't forget them. I got in the studio and I said, Curly, roll it, man. And roll it on track one. When the other band members come in, we can mix it down. And I just tear, you know, you just tear off a piece of TP or whatever you got to do. It's like, 1, 2, 3. It's bitchin'. It's bitchin'. Everything's getting bitchiner and bitchiner. You know, and that was kind of what was going on.
Now, that drumming that you're doing there, is that classic rock?
No, that's jazz. And the thing about lyrics is the words don't have to rhyme, but you make them rhyme. Like it's bitchin', it's glitchin', it's bitchin', it's with the switchin', it's twitchin'. You can do that, and it's part of...
is it like poetic license, as they say?
Yeah, that's probably what it is the license that you're talking about. You gotta have a license. You know, 1, 2, 3, I'm back! I'm back in the saddle again! I'm back! See what I'm saying? So in other words, you're putting yourself into the middle of the song.
We're talking with Jeff Dowder, who is a drummer with the band Dark Horse.
I remember I got my license. It freed me up. You know that.
What, your driver's license?
No, you're talking about poetic license?
When you got your license.
Yeah, when I got that one?
It ain't something you get, man. It's something that you just do.
Right. Well, that's what I said.
Okay, so anyway, we're talking with Jeff Dowder. He's going to be at Stimuland, and that will be part of the drum clinic with the band, the Dark Horse. They'll be there at 10 o'clock. Show up for that. We'll be continuing our discussion here with Jeff because he's breaking down drumming. And we really do want to talk about drumming, Jeff.
Yeah, I really want to get into that, man.
Okay. We're talking about country, rock, and jazz drumming and what it takes to be a good drummer, professional musician as a drummer. 1-800-5201-KFI in Orange County and 5201-KFI in LA County. It's the Phil Hendrie Show on KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I know that is a kind of a jazz-flavored piece, right?
Well, we do a lot of jazz textures. We do a lot of triplets. We do a lot of different things in our music. But basically, I'll give you, Phil, the chorus and then break into a little bit of the solo and what people could expect at Stimuland on Sunday.
All right, this is Jeff Dowder with the drum solo, part of the drum solo from Judgment Sunrise.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and everybody's gonna go down to the beat, Judgment Sunrise. Then I do a big finish here, Phil, that comes up.
Just go ahead and do it.
Okay, this big finish is...
Excuse me, Jeff, for a second.
Yeah.
What is that?
I'm sorry?
What, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I could hear you. It sounded like you were... I'm sorry to interrupt you, okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
All right. okay, where was I? Everybody's going to go down to the beach at the center.
Whoa. Hold the line for a minute, all right?
What?
It sounds, are you doing something?
It may be that I'm out of breath, man. I put a lot into my drumming.
Oh, okay, it sounds like you're straining yourself.
I do. I put a lot into my drumming. So that's probably the sound you're hearing.
Okay, I'm awfully sorry, man. Pick up the solo again. Okay?
Yeah, trying to remember. Everybody's going to go down to the beach at the sunrise. And then it goes back in. See what I'm saying, man? So
That is a very,
I mean, that was sweet. You got to admit it. It's just totally sweet the way I moved from 5/4 time back to 4/4 time. It was sweet.
well, it was unusual, okay?
Because I'm using a lot of textures from jazz. John Coltrane, probably one of the great jazz musicians, he did a lot of weird crap too. But did you hear the style changes? Did you hear?
Well, I heard a very eclectic, it's very,
It's esoteric, man. You know, the style changing. I'm moving from 5/4 to 4/4 back into 3/5 time. You know,
give me an example of that, because probably my ear is wrong or something.
well, I threw in some Latin rhythms. Like I had a Latin rhythm there. You know, Judgment Sunrise and there, Judgment Sunrise. Everybody's going on the beach, Judgment Sunrise. And also the iambic pentameter was totally on, man, and that's what we try to go for. 1, 2, 3.
Well, okay, you got to hold on for a minute, man.
What?
What is that screaming?
It's just I just get into it. I'm sorry, man. I just get it. Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich makes sounds when he drums. Music is pain, dude. Okay?
Yeah?
Music is pain, and you got to understand that, okay? So,
All right, go back to, we are listening to the jazz segment of Judgment at Sunrise.
have you ever seen John Bonneman? Have you ever seen John Bonneman? He is totally in pain. He was in agony, man, when he played the drums. Because music is a painful expression. And that's probably what killed him. Keith Moon, too. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Judgment Sunrise, and there. Judgment Sunrise, there. Ow! So anyway, that's it. And there's a lot of different textures, and there's a lot of different things that are thrown in.
Can you tell me the name? Thank you very much for that, Jeff, by the way. Let's give Jeff a round of applause here, okay? Jeff Downer. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Can you tell me the names of drummers that you admire?
Oh, that's a really good question, Phil. I think I admire Americans. I think the American music scene has brought the drums back. I think the British tried to ruin drumming. I think with their synth pop and their drum machines, they really try to hurt the good American drummers. I love Ginger Baker. I love John Bonham. I think Rick Allen is outstanding.
Isn't that the guy with one arm?
I'm not aware of that. And
Rick Allen is in Def Leppard, right?
that's correct.
Aren't they British, and doesn't he have one arm?
I've not been made aware of that, no.
Well, I'd like to make you aware that now he has one arm.
To my knowledge, I've not been made aware of that. And if that's the case, then I'd have to knock him down probably a couple of,
Well, why would you do that? You like his drumming.
Well, I can't sit here and say I like a guy got one arm. It's like, what am I going to start saying that Christopher Reeves is my favorite for a gold medal in the 100-meter dash? That would be the same thing. So,
Well, if you like his drumming,
I can't like a one-arm limey, man. Call me wrong. Call me late for dinner. I don't know what. I can't do it.
all right, so who else?
I really love Neil Peart. And
He's Canadian.
okay, Canadian. He's not British, and the Canadians are technically can be put in with Americans on account of that the sounds are the same. Phil Collins outstanding. Dave Grohl's outstanding. Yeah, getting back to Rick Allen, tell me how a one-armed drummer can beat his wife, by the way, yeah? That's the whole trip that I never was able to figure down.
Well, I don't know what happened there. I believe it was in a...
Oh, that's talent, though. That's what I'm talking about. So he's back up to... He was at number 3, then he dropped down to number 6. I found out he beat his wife. He's back up to number 3, if not number 2.
On the basis that he beat his wife.
One arm beat his wife. That's all I say about that. It's not to say he's not a good drummer.